Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream show. We have our special guest, Mentor Lawyer. Originally, we were going to do this on his channel, but then we switched it up and decided to do it mainly on this channel. And so, welcome, Mentor Lawyer. Thank you so much for coming up with this idea of doing a joint live stream again.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here. Actually, it was an invitation that I extended to you, Judy. I like the exchanges that we usually have, and I was hoping to do it on my channel, but I think I just got too many videos going on my channel, and I figured maybe this video will have more success than yours. So we'll go with that. We'll see
Okay.
how it goes.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, thank you so much for live streaming the hearing today in Charlie Adelson's case. I think a lot of people want to talk about that first because it just happened this morning. And so, for those of you guys who didn't watch it, the ultimate rulings were in Charlie Adelson's favor because Judge Wheeler decided to keep Catherine McBanua's proffer confidential, sealed, at least until she testifies. I can't remember if he gave the details about it, but basically he granted that motion and also granted Rashbaum's motion to continue the trial. So that's disappointing, but I mean, I can see the legal rationale behind that. What's your initial thoughts on that?
Well, I kind of want to hear your initial thoughts because I kind of already shared mine at the end of the video, and I
Oh,
don't know if you watched the end.
oh, okay. Yeah, I was watching. Yeah, I was watching you. Yeah, but okay. So I was taking notes, but I don't think people really want to hear me reading down my notes of what the judge said. But it's
Whatever,
totally understandable
whatever you want
because,
to do.
okay, yeah, because just think if you or I were criminal defendants in a case, and the judge even said that this is a very the publicity already. It could potentially reduce the jury pool significantly, that it's a relatively small community of people there in Tallahassee. So of course, Charlie does have a right to a fair and impartial jury. So I can totally understand that the proffer is going to be kept sealed for now. Of course, it's very disappointing because you want to know. I mean, why should the Adelsons be protected? I felt like this was mainly to protect Charlie's family because there's probably a lot of bad information out there about the whole family. So, um, but anyway, I totally understand that. The continuance, I mean, I know you already predicted that the continuance would be granted, and I thought it would be too, because the judges like to give continuances, especially if it's the first time that anyone's asked for it.
Yeah,
So,
and this may not have been exactly the first time because I think that there were some discussions about setting the trial beforehand, and I think that initially they were thinking about doing it earlier, and then when the judge finally decided, okay, let's get together and set a trial date, he kind of said, okay, well, we need more time at that time. So that wasn't really technically a continuance because the trial hadn't been set, but he had, I think, already asked for a little bit of a move of the target date for the trial past the original date that they were thinking about, and then now is an official motion for a continuance, and he got it. And I guess it is the right thing to do because the case hasn't been pending for too long, and obviously the defense should have an opportunity to fully prepare. It is certainly a complex case with more complications now that Magbanua spoke, gave a confession. So it adds a little bit to the mix, and there's, regardless of whatever Magbanua said, there's a ton of stuff to go through and analyze, and it's okay, I guess. I'm okay with that ruling.
yeah, it's not going to ruin my whole day because of this. Yeah. So, so of course there is no actual new trial date set yet. It sounds like they're going to continue having some more conversations or emails with the judge later this week. And Dugan already mentioned something about how they had stuff going on in August, and then the judge mentioned that he probably had something going on in August. So who knows? This could get pushed out sometime until October.
It looks like late September, early October is a possibility Rashbaum, I guess maybe a family member has, or a kid has a birthday on the 14th, so he kind of brought up that it is a personal or a family thing that he has to attend. But I don't think that that's going to play a role. So if those weeks work for their work schedules, I think that's the likely target date, but it could be even after.
Yeah, we just don't know at this point. And when he mentioned that, I just thought, well, what about Dan and his family? You know, his family doesn't get to celebrate some great family gathering, you know, to say that, oh, well, excuse
Sure.
me, judge, but I have some
Hey, but
family
you know,
gathering.
Rajbaum is a lawyer. He's not one of the defendants.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
you know, I don't think that that's much of an argument against him. So obviously, if kids' birthdays can be accommodated, they should be. They're important milestones for the little kids. So the little kids shouldn't be paying for the fact that someone else decided to
Dad being
murder
a
them.
lawyer.
But again,
Okay.
obviously, this is a huge case. 3-week trial docket, a 3-week trial, and if a birthday falls in there, then it's tough luck. I think that that's going to be a minimal consideration for family events, and more consideration about whether all the lawyers are available at that time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, LJ has a big question. She said, "Do you think Court TV and the media will appeal that motion?" Or, well, I don't think they would appeal. I mean, appeals take a long time, don't they?
I
I
think
mean,
that they will. I think that this is an appeal that moves very quickly through the process. This is not a situation where the appeal would take months and months and months, which most appeals do. And the sanctions appeal that I'm doing, the sanctions that were entered against me in the Samara Fesh murder case for something good that I did, that appeal has been pending for almost 2 years now. An appeal of this sort would be a petition for to the court, maybe a petition for writ of mandamus. Or a petition for. It is an original proceeding, I believe, at the appellate level, and it is something where the ruling happens really quickly, probably within a month. So I do expect that the issue will be considered. I do not know if they want to incur the cost of an appeal, but there is a high likelihood of a reversal, I believe, if the order is appealed. I don't think that the findings were supported by any evidence. There was no evidence introduced at all at the hearing. And just the common knowledge that there's some extensive coverage by the media about the case, I don't think that that's enough to justify the court's ruling. So I hope that it will be appealed, and I will volunteer my time pro bono to join on the appeal and to help with the briefs or help with the petition. So we'll see.
okay. That's nice. Okay. Angela says she couldn't, yeah, none of us could hear that well. Yeah. Is the state in agreement with sealing the proffer so there's no change in? Well, the state just didn't oppose it. So
Well,
can you
first of all,
guess?
Georgia didn't say anything. She wasn't there.
Yeah.
And Sarah Dugan, who's the other main attorney, wasn't there. The attorney who spoke is like their legal expert in the office of the state attorney. And his argument, I thought, was weak. That he did say that the state attorney supports the motion, and he said that he didn't want to cause a situation that would lead to the change of venue. That he believes, that the state attorney believes that the state should stay in Leon County, but I don't see how the release of the proffer would make it hard to seat a jury here. This is not a small community like it is being portrayed. This is a pretty large city with, I think it's over 250,000 residents, probably more by now. I haven't checked lately what the statistics are, but I can tell that the vast majority of the people in Tallahassee never heard of who is Catherine McManua. So I think it's not a huge issue, and it wouldn't be hard to sit an impartial jury in Leon County, whether or not the proffer is released. On top of that, it would be different if the proffer was sealed and nobody said anything about it. But you heard the argument from Rushbaum, and he's given his take on the proffer. So now you have sound bites from Adelson's attorney about the proffer available to the public for discussion. You know, you and I are not going to speculate about whether that's true or not, but any other social media people that cover the case might. They might just or even the major media may just put that on the title of the article in the newspaper, right? The words of Charles Adelson's attorney.
Yeah, where he was just
Magbanua's
trying to say that
confession,
it was no,
it doesn't do
no
anything
use.
to
Yeah.
Adelson, to Charles Adelson. So, you know, I think that's even double unfair and a double win for Adelson, for Charles Adelson. His attorney gets to say some BS about the proffer, probably BS. I mean, I don't know that he's lying, but he's definitely going to have a biased interpretation and a biased take and a biased description that will favor his client about what Magbanua said. We can only test it when we see it for ourselves to see whether he's being truthful or not. But so the public gets to hear that, and even the judge then comments a little bit about it. I'm going to discuss that on my video that I did, my reaction video that I did in a public park close to Dan Markel's home. So I'll go into more detail on that on my video.
Okay. Well, I thought that was Dugan.
Sarah Dugan was there.
Yeah, because you said earlier that Dugan wasn't there.
No, I said Georgia Kappelman wasn't there.
Okay, so Kappelman definitely wasn't there.
Yeah,
Dugan
I meant to say
was
Georgia wasn't there.
Okay.
Sarah Dugan was there. She didn't say anything, but the other guy, the attorney who spoke, and I had a case against him, and I can't remember his name. Marcus, maybe? No, that's... I can't remember the name. Anyway,
Okay.
he's the one who got up and
end.
talked about that issue and mentioned the fact that, well, yeah, the state attorney doesn't object to the motion to CO the proffer, and we just want to make sure that the case stays in Leon County. We don't want to have a situation where we're going to have to change a venue. That's what he said.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Tony is saying, did you delete your hearing video?
Yes. I didn't delete it. I made it private because the sound was bad and because I have the actual high quality video that I'm processing right now, and I'm going to re-upload it a little bit later today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what she guessed. Are you reposting? Yes, he will repost it. Okay. So, let's see. I'm sorry. There's just like so many comments here. Let me see. Yes, he did. The judge did say that he reviewed the proffer before the hearing.
He did.
Right? Yeah. Yep. That's what somebody else already responded. Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. Okay. Yeah, this one, that was a continuance, not for the trial, but for the case management hearing when Ratchbaum
Say that
hurt
again?
his ankle. Yeah, I'm responding to this comment from Deborah where she's saying it was the second continuance, but in terms of the trial date, this is the first continuance for the trial date.
So
Yeah.
there was a prior continuance of a case management hearing because of the issue with the ankle, but not of the actual trial.
Yeah. What about arrest? Can we get some arrest based on the proffer content? Well, maybe.
No, because we don't get to take a look at the proffer.
Yeah, we don't know.
So it would all be speculation.
Yeah. Yes, he will still stay in jail. At least
Yes.
Charlie will still be in jail. Chucky's trial is not important. Rashbaum's relative's birthday party. Did he say birthday party? I thought he just said family gathering.
He said, I'm speculating on whether it was a birthday party for one of his kids. I don't know for a fact what it was, but he said that he had a family obligation. So I'm assuming he doesn't want to miss a birthday party.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
Okay.
that's a little bit of speculation on my part.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she was there. Dugan spoke about the continuance dates. Do you feel like offering an opinion about arrest? I still feel like Donna should have been arrested by now. I thought she was going to get arrested by the end of the year. So who knows?
I think that there's plenty of evidence that against Donna. I definitely think that the state of Florida should have sought an indictment against her before. I do not know whether they did and failed, or are they holding off for more information? And we do not know. Mm-hmm. It is possible that there will be more arrests. It is possible that there's still corroborating statements from Magbanua, and it is possible that they're going to go back or go for the first time to the grand jury seeking indictments against other members of the Adelson family. But that's just all possible. We do not know until we get the actual proffer. Mm-hmm. So there is already, of course, quite a bit of evidence against Donna. There's plenty of evidence against Donna, including her own words.
Okay. Is it possible the proffer contained so much evidence on Donna and Wendy that the judge put more weight on sealing it? Could this be a good sign?
Again, it isn't, we can speculate on everything and anything. So,
Yeah, we
yeah,
just
you can
don't know.
speculate that the judge, in reviewing, because he did say, I did review the interviews. And he then made a comment about it as well, because Rochbaum made his comment saying, no, it doesn't really do any harm to my client. So the judge made his own comment and says, well, there may be different interpretations to what that proffer does. But again, neither one of them spoke about any other family members of the Adelson family being mentioned or addressed. That wasn't part of the argument, so it would be pure speculation at this time to say that. So would the judge, if he saw the interviews and if there was stuff about Wendy, for example, which could possibly lead to her arrest, would he be more inclined to seal the document? We don't know. We really don't know. We don't know.
Okay. Well, I think the fact that the state didn't oppose it probably also made it easier for the judge to be like, okay, well, then let's just seal it.
Absolutely.
So Charlie can get a fair jury, fair and impartial trial. Yeah.
The state attorney's office should have been fighting for us in that regard. I think that he should have fought for the records to be public because the law makes them public, and really there hasn't been shown anything to indicate that this was a major threat to the fair administration of justice in this case.
But before an arrest,
of course, they're also privy.
Proffer. I think it was less than a month.
They're also privy, of course, to the proffers. So their decision may have been also based on the content. Maybe because it is sucky, maybe because it is great, and it could be used against other Adelson members. It would all be speculation to comment about that right now. But something made the state attorney want to keep it sealed as well. We don't know what. Guess we'll find out eventually.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. All right. So what's going to happen with Katie? Yeah, I would assume Katie would just stay in Tallahassee. It's a lot of trouble to transport prisoners, right?
I think that she's staying in her cozy Leon County jail. Probably going to stay there. I can go take a look right now at what does the DOC say. But I'm assuming she could be used in various proceedings, including, like I said, any grand jury proceedings. So if there are potential new charges based on all of the evidence and in part on some of what she said, then she would be staying here so that she can be presented to the grand jury as a witness. So
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if she was sent back to the Department of Corrections, but I'll double check real quick while you guys are
Okay.
talking.
Great.
So let me go there.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, we're kind of jumping around. I mean, we kind of wanted to talk more about the whole family court case too, so we'll touch on that next.
You know, Judy, we'll go with whatever you want. I definitely know that I'm here from 1 to 2 p.m. and after
Okay.
that I have a meeting at 2:30. So
Okay. Well, I was
whatever
reading
you
the
want to talk
mind
about, since the show is live on your channel, you get to decide whatever.
Okay.
Whatever rocks your boat. Whatever you want to do.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, she's still, it says out of department by custody by order of the court. That's what it says. And so for many reasons, including the fact that there's going to be a trial where she's going to testify, including the fact that there could be additional questions for her from the state attorney's office, including the fact that she may be a witness in other proceedings, like grand jury proceedings, where potential new charges are being sought against an Adelson, perhaps. For all those reasons, I think it makes perfect sense to keep her here. They also can take her deposition. They can go back to her to verify information if they need to. Easy access to the investigators. So yeah, she gets to be here where she apparently wants to be. So
Okay.
she
Well,
gets to
what
be in Leon
about
County.
Louis Rivera? So Angela wants to know, does this mean Louis won't be shipped to Leon County Jail by April 10th because of the continuance? I don't know.
Yes.
You would think they would still just go ahead with transporting him because they might want to take his deposition. he might be
No,
needed.
I think I mean, he's in federal custody, and I think with Luis Rivera, okay, there's a chance that they may want to question him about what Katie says. There may be new information from Katie that they might want to verify with him, and it will be easier for all the parties involved for him to be in Florida rather than in a federal prison in Arizona. But I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna mess with federal custody so easily. They might withdraw that.
Oh, I did want to ask you, did the defense take Katie's deposition a couple of weeks ago? Because I thought I saw something saying that Katie had been deposed.
Who said that?
I don't know. I thought I saw something like on a computer screen, maybe even on one of your live streams or somewhere on
Oh,
YouTube.
I don't know. Maybe somebody has personal information about that. I definitely have not seen
Oh,
anything about it.
okay. Then maybe I got it wrong because Fancy didn't think that was the case. So I'm like, okay, I don't
I
know.
never mentioned that as a fact. I have no
Okay.
knowledge about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what about this? Like, I've heard rumors that the Adelsons are on a FBI no-flight list. Have you heard of that?
Rumors, sure. Rumors, but I don't know that to be a fact, and
Yeah, because
I don't believe hi Skitter girl. Nice to see you. I do not believe that they're gonna fly anywhere. I believe they're gonna stay put and face justice if it comes. Um, I don't
and
think that
me,
there's any country in the world where they can be hidden and they would be protected.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So people are wondering about, is it possible for Katie to have some three-way call or send messages to Sigfredo?
They can obviously write to each other, and that's allowed. I don't believe that they can call each other because they're both in prison. But I do know that there were conversation that did happen once. Apparently, was when there was a coincidental. I don't know how it happened, but I think Catherine McManua. I don't remember the details. I don't know if it was Tereka was called Sigfredo and was on the phone with Katie or what happened, but somehow they were able to talk during the trial, and that conversation was sealed for whatever reason, and I want to get my hands on it. But definitely they can communicate by mail.
Okay. Yeah, same here. Barbara wants to know any news about Sigfredo. I don't know of any news about him.
We the last time I checked, and I'm gonna go check right now. The last time I checked, there was silence on his case. So in general, what's been going on in his case is he's been very, very disappointed about the fact that he lost the appeal. He wants to file a motion for post-conviction relief, but his attorney wasn't sending him the records. And so he sent several letters to the court asking the court to force his former appellate attorney, to turn over those records. And I haven't seen any response or any hearing from the court. So let me go take a look right now what's going on in his case.
Thank you.
So let me see if anything has happened. Oops, there's an error. Sometimes that happens. Or there. Yeah, I got it. Okay, so latest on the case is the last thing we see here is a letter from Rivera Garcia from October 3, 2022, and then nothing since. So I think it's possible that he's in communication with the state, but we don't know. Definitely have not seen any orders from the court to transport him for a proffer. They can obviously send investigators to wherever he's staying at to go talk to him, and they can record that over there. So we do not know. In Katie's case in particular, she was being represented by her trial attorneys, Tereka Wass and Christopher DeCoste, And so that added some difficulty in doing the proffers. Probably the lawyers wanted to be present and they wanted to be recorded. So this happened in Leon County. I would assume, especially now that Sigfredo Garcia is unrepresented, that investigators would try to reach out and talk to him because he doesn't have an attorney. So there's nothing precluding investigators from trying to talk to him and, for example, try to verify some of the information that Katie did, or maybe try to get a statement from him before he hears anything about what Katie said. So what I would have done, for example, if Katie Magbanua made several statements about what she told, for example, Sigfredo Garcia, that maybe she lied to Sigfredo and told that Donna was the only one paying for the hit or things of that sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would hope that what investigators do is that they first go to Sigfredo Garcia, ask him whether he wants to give a statement and cooperate, and then if he does, to basically get him to give his version of what happened, okay, and one that is not influenced by what Katie may have said in the proffers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want that to influence what he says. So I hope that they went to talk to him, and that if he decided to talk to them, which may explain why there's silence on his case, it is possible that he's cooperating as well. And I would assume that the reason why he never cooperated before was because he wanted to not prejudice Katie Magbanua. Why? Because Katie was involved in the murder. And so if he had to say the truth, he would have to implicate her. But now that Katie is cooperating, I'm pretty sure that Sigfredo Garcia has nothing to lose now and is probably willing to talk and corroborate the story, whatever story Katie has said.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I would be surprised if the state didn't try to go talk to Sigfredo Garcia. I think that they should be trying to do that, and they have done that. And we do not know, unfortunately, whether or not he has spoken and what he has said. But that hasn't been sealed yet, but it also hasn't been produced to the defense. We have to take a look, and I'm going to keep watching the discovery, but I'm assuming that if there's ever a recording that will be turned over to the defense, that Charles Adelson's lawyer is going to do the same thing and going to try to keep it under seal as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. LJ has another question for you. As Katie will be highly corroborated using the FBI wiretaps, what in God's name does the defense ever expect to do? Wouldn't you agree Charlie is dead in the water?
I can't comment on what Katie said because I haven't heard it yet. So, what is the defense supposed to do? I don't know. I guess we need to listen to the proffer first, and then we can talk about it. Right now, we haven't heard the proffer, so there's nothing I can say about that. There's plenty of evidence against Charlie without the proffer, so I think it is a difficult case to defend. I think there's plenty of evidence. His own words in the wiretaps are very, very strong evidence for the state to use against him, for sure.
Yeah, because I just did a live stream about that last week about predicting Charlie Adelson's best defense. And my wild guess is that they wouldn't have Charlie testify because he would just look like a total fool on the stand and ruin his chances even more. And then
it worked for Danielle Redlick. We'll see how it works for Mr. Murdaugh. I mean, jurors are supposed to accept the fact that a defendant remains silent, but who knows in the back of their mind, unless the state has a very, very weak case. If the state has a strong case, I'm sure that hearing from the defendant that I had nothing to do with this would go some way. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what they're gonna decide. That's usually a decision that you make at trial. That's usually a decision that you prepare for. You prepare your client to testify ahead of time. You go through the testimony of what likely is going to be. But trial is a living thing. You don't know how the evidence is going to come in, how the cross-examination is going to be carried out. how you're watching the jury, you're watching the reactions from the jurors to the witnesses. Something that the state may think is an amazing piece of evidence, you may see jurors that have a skeptical looks in their eyes. So it is all something to be decided much later, not now, whether or not he will testify. But definitely you would prepare. You would ask the type of questions that that you expect that you would want to ask at trial to see whether your client's story makes any sense, first of all, right? I mean, you wouldn't be able to put him on the stand to testify if you know that he's lying. Ethically speaking, you're not supposed to do that. Of course, Katie McBanua did that. She got in the courtroom and lied.
Yeah.
So it does happen.
Okay.
But
Well, Tony has some rudimentary questions about appeals. Yeah, so the appeal, I mean, the defendant is still the defendant. I think in some states, like they switch the names around on the caption when you appeal. So,
Okay.
yeah, the defendant definitely would not be the
all
prisoner
right,
or the
so
warden.
I can explain all of that. So there's all different kinds of criminal cases and criminal appeals that you can do. So on a criminal case, the direct appeal is from the conviction. So let's say that somebody is charged with murder and convicted. The style of the case at the trial level is the state of Florida versus Charles Adelson. And then at the appellate level, depending on the court and the state, sometimes the style remains the same, state of Florida versus Charles Adelson. But in other courts, I think in Florida, the appellant goes first, the person that is appealing. So here the case style would change to Charles Adelson versus, and then the defendant would be the state of Florida. Or not the defendant, I'm sorry, the appellee. So you have the appellant who's doing the appeal, and then you have the appellee who's responding to the appeal. So the state of Florida, through the Attorney General's office, not through the state attorney, but the Attorney General's office would assign somebody, and it is the state of Florida that answers to that appeal. Usually you're going to see the warden as a defendant in cases that are for habeas corpus, so the person who's holding a person in jail or in prison may be a defendant in a petition for habeas corpus. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, so the punishment
Can a punishment be increased on appeal in the U.S.?
That's not what the Court of Appeals does.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So this is an age-old question. Who was paying for Katie's legal fees? A lot of people suspect that Adelsons were behind it, but who knows?
That evidence has also been sealed from all of us because there was a hearing about this issue, and the judge, Judge Hankinson, James Hankinson, was the judge presiding over that hearing. The hearing is on my channel, but the portion of the discussion between the judge and Tara Kawas and Christopher DeCoste, where supposedly they told him who was paying for the fees, was done in camera outside of the presence of the cameras. So we do not know what was said. And even the prosecutor doesn't know what the defense attorneys told the judge. So we do not know. We can speculate, and I do believe that there is a lot of circumstantial evidence that points to the fact that somebody in the Adelson family must have been funding this somehow indirectly, but we don't have proof. We just have an opinion that is based on some circumstantial evidence that it is unlikely that the family of Catherine McBanua would have want to pay humongous fees to defend her, or would have been able to do it. I don't think that's a reasonable possibility.
Yeah.
By the way, I did hear, Judy, I don't know if you heard, but I did hear about another crazy case of the similar type that happened in Hong Kong just a few days ago. Did you hear about that?
What, with the model's head found in the soup pot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read a little bit about that. That's just so awful. I mean,
That sounds like the Adelson case too. I mean,
yeah, where the
of
whole
a
family was all enmeshed and got mad at her and decided that they're just going to dismember her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another post-divorce dispute. I heard that there was money at stake as well, right? Do you know the details of that? Why was there money? So just a little background. Can you just tell the audience, because we're just discussing and we both know a little bit about it. So can you tell the audience a little bit about that case? It just happened.
I haven't done a ton of reading about it, but
just a little bit,
there's some woman that I guess she she was a model who had taken part in the Paris Fashion Week. And so I read one article said she had 2 kids, another article said 4 kids. I'm like, well, that's pretty amazing because she's 28 years old and was a model. But I guess there was some nasty divorce, and the husband's parents were also involved in this horrible family battle.
And the
And then
family
her,
is super wealthy, right?
yeah,
The family of the husband is super wealthy
mhm,
over there in Hong Kong.
yeah. And then her head was found in a soup pot, and then like maybe a leg or legs were found in the freezer. It was just
So
what
in
a horrible
essence,
case.
there was some kind of a post-divorce dispute between them, and there was millions of dollars at stake, and of course the kids as well, right?
Mhm.
And the issue of the custody of the kids. So in that case in Hong Kong, it was the husband's family allegedly, including with the help of the former brother-in-law of the victim, right? I think that he supposedly picked her up somewhere
Oh, you know
and
more
took
about
her
the
to an
case than I do.
apartment that apparently was rented. This is what I heard.
Uh-huh.
That was rented by the family a few weeks before,
Oh,
and that they murdered her and cut up her body and all that stuff.
oh,
And then
that's just disgusting.
police was
Yeah.
able to find. I think what they did is they interrogated the family over there in Hong Kong, and their statements were inconsistent. And then they found some surveillance video on the brother of the ex-husband, where they saw that he picked her up, and they were able to, with the various cameras all over the city, track to where he took her, and then went and searched that apartment and found her body there.
Oh, oh, that's
Yeah.
just disgusting. I mean, what a horrible case. Well, even True Lifestyles has been covering the Jared Brighamman case in Florida. Have you looked into
I
that?
didn't look into that one,
Okay,
but
yeah.
there's
So she told us about it because it's very similar to the Markel case, where this man had 2 children with his ex-wife, and of course, there's like a very ugly divorce or custody battle, and he ended up getting shot by a alleged hitman. But
was that the one where there was a tire on the road?
yeah, yeah,
I
that
heard
he
about that
stopped the
case.
car because he saw a
Yeah,
tire in the middle of the road and then got shot when he got out of the car. Yeah. So, but so why don't we segue into what our original
which
topic was,
this is a
which
good
was
segue.
ugly divorce cases and custody
Exactly.
battles.
This is a good segue.
Yeah. So, I mean, have you personally or have any of your friends or family been involved in ugly divorces or custody battles?
I have seen an ugly divorce, a couple of ugly divorces, and yeah, I have some distant family members who went through an ugly divorce. Uh, Not from my family's side, but from my wife's family's side.
Mhm.
But yeah, what I was thinking about, and I wanted to discuss with you because I know that you're primarily a family lawyer,
Yes,
right?
now I
So you
am.
handle quite a bit of divorce
Mhm.
cases. I've done a couple of them in my career, but you're the expert, and obviously I saw from your channel that you have done a study of, in a sense, you have gone through the pleadings, you did what you could, I guess, to review the divorce proceedings in the case of Dan Markel, and then also to review the post-divorce litigation between Dan Markel and Wendy Adelson. So in general, I can tell you that I think we both agree on one thing. We both want justice for Dan Markel and for any victims of murder, and we both don't believe that murder should be a choice for anyone. That is obviously the wrong choice, and there's no doubt that the moment that the Adelson family, if the state is correct in their allegations, when they decided to hire a hitman and go and have Dan Markel killed, that this was an evil act that is to be condemned
Down.
to the
Yeah.
highest extent possible. And I hope that every single person involved in this decision faces justice and goes to prison. Everyone.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, when I looked at the divorce proceedings, and I can tell from what I heard before I became involved in covering the case, I have heard, even shortly after the murder happened. I was not a true crime buff back then, but I did hear, of course, a professor was murdered in the middle of the day here in Tallahassee. And the general rumors that I was hearing is just that this professor was a nasty guy, that he was horrible to his wife in the divorce. And so there was a lot of negative comments about Dan Markel. Then I went to myself and I looked at the files to see whether anything is justified. And one of the reasons why I did that movie called The Hitman Option, where I reenact the divorce deposition of Wendy Adelson, is because I wanted to do a deep dive into the deposition to see whether, was he that horrible guy? I mean, was she mistreated horribly in this deposition, for example? Because when the murder happened a year later, she was about to be deposed.
Uh-huh.
And the deposition never happened because of the murder. So I wanted to go back and look. So I think that when I looked at all the divorce filings before and after the divorce settlement, I did feel that I would never have acted the way that Markel did. I think that he was really over the top and over litigious throughout both proceedings, before the settlement and after the settlement. And I personally thought that opposing the move to South Florida by Wendy was wrong. Now, of course, we know now that this is apparently allegedly an evil family, right? So maybe he knew something or felt something.
He didn't want the Adelsons and
Adelsons.
Wendy being around, only being there to influence his kids. He wanted to have a role in his kids' life. So this is where you and I totally disagree, because I don't see anything totally out of line with what Dan filed. Sure, he was like overly verbose. Nobody files in family court these pleadings that are more than, say, like even 5 to 10 pages. But his would be like these humongous, like law review articles with footnotes and all sorts of citations all over the place. And I mean, he definitely like overdid it, but it just shows his passion and how angry he was at Wendy trying to take his children away, or Wendy, allegedly violating terms of the settlement agreement, allegedly lying at the deposition about the great uncle's ring, hiding money. I think any normal person would be upset. So I don't really think it's totally out of bounds for Dan to have filed, or his attorney filed these things that he did, because maybe what he was alleging was true.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I think, let's say, I see very bad things that were done by both sides in this case. The way that the whole divorce proceeding case started was pretty nasty, right? The guy goes on a trip, and you're basically treating him like some psycho abuser, because what? He's out of town on a trip. You want to file for divorce because you're tired, whatever. You the marriage didn't work. Maybe you try to make it work, whatever. You decide to divorce. Do it, amicably. Try to talk to the person. Okay, I'm gonna move out. Let's
talk
make
about
arrangements.
mediation, collaborative divorce,
Whatever. Yeah. Just work it out from the beginning. But she says, "All right, he's gone. Here comes my whole family, all my friends. They're mutual friends, many of them. Here, help me take half of my stuff, half of the furniture supposedly, get all this money from the bank accounts and do it surreptitiously. And then after everybody's gone and the kids are gone and he has no clue where she went to, she calls him in New York, says, hey, right before you give your speech at this conference, I'm divorcing you and I left with the kids and bye." Horrible.
That
Horrible
was
way to
really
handle
cold. Yeah,
the
really
filing
cold.
of a divorce. Just horrible. I mean, you're treating the guy, you're basically, the term self-fulfilling prophecy. You're already kind of like making the guy react badly, right? So obviously, from the very beginning, the way that Wendy handled this divorce was horrible. As a divorce lawyer, what do you think about that part? Let's talk about in parts. The fact that Dan is out of town, and now you're representing Wendy Adelson. Let's say that she hired you to represent her. And she says, you know what I want to do when he's out of town? And I just want to take half of the money from the accounts, and I want to take the kids and disappear and not tell them where I'm staying at.
Okay. Well, that would be good advice if it were truly a physically abusive situation. But in this case, even Wendy, I believe, admitted that there was no physical abuse. And Dan mentioned that in his pleadings too. There was a marriage with no adultery or abuse. So I think that's really underhanded to just basically pull the rug out from under him. And that's sort of how she allegedly treated Jeffrey Lacoste too. It's like just totally turn on people like that. And I
And
think
if they
that's
have a
very
lot of
cold
mutual
hearted if
friends,
there's no concerns about the person beating you to a pulp because you're trying to leave.
so and if they have a lot of mutual friends, it's a small community, right? Maybe the town is not a small community, but the college, right, the FSU law community is pretty small, and their friends, they have a lot of mutual friends in the academia, right? So how is it going to look to all the other people who do not know the in and outs of their marriage, that here this woman not only is filing for divorce, and they both work at the law school, but she does it in this way where she just disappears? And so doesn't that look like you're trying to send a message to other members of the community that this guy is an abusive, that I'm scared that if I tell him I'm divorcing him, he's such a nutcase that he's going to kill all of us or something like that?
Yeah, and
Right?
similarly, like, didn't she try to make Jeffrey Lacoste seem to be some overly jealous stalker type person? So, I
Well, I mean,
mean,
she had
these
a
are all
motive for
rumors.
that.
What?
She had a motive for that, you know, the
Yeah, yeah.
in
But
my opinion.
so the first thing that I think was done wrong was this whole what did Dan called it, a Pearl Harbor type attack. And the house was plundered Visigoth style. Like he shows up and like all the stuff has totally disappeared from his home. There's just like a crib mattress on the floor. So, I mean, that was just horrible. I mean, from what I read, it sounded like they did do a little bit of marriage counseling. So Dan should have known that Wendy was unhappy, that there were some issues brewing there. But I think that's
Well,
really cool.
I think we only heard that from her. I do. I from the deposition of Wendy Adelson, my take from it was that, yeah, she was claiming that they had been discussing that before, and so on and so forth. But I think that he was surprised,
Yeah.
and I think that she overstated what those discussions were. I mean, I don't know of any couple that doesn't talk about divorce at some point, during an argument, whatever. But if you're really serious about it, I think you make the other side know. And I think that he was surprised. I
Yeah.
definitely think he was
Yeah, he was
surprised.
definitely hurt. He called his mom. He was like crying on the phone, just totally devastated. So that part is bad. And so again, I just as a public service announcement, I do want to mention that there's a kind of a slightly newer method called collaborative divorce that I've been trying to tell more and more people about because I just love doing collaborative divorce a lot better than the old style traditional, you versus me and divorce court, see you in court, mudslinging and stuff. So collaborative divorce is definitely the way to go if people want to still be on good terms with their former spouse, especially if there are children involved. It's
Right.
really about protecting the kids and also protecting your own privacy and not spending, say, over $50 to $100,000 on attorneys. So,
Right. And
so
so
they
on the
could have
other
chosen
hand,
collaborative divorce. I don't know if they would have been suited for it, but that could have been an option.
you're in North Carolina or South
Yes,
Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. So if you ever need a divorce attorney in North Carolina, be sure to go to Judy.
Thank you. Well, I only practice in Wake County now. I used to practice in
Okay.
Durham, all around the triangle, but I'm trying to narrow the focus now. Yeah. So that was one thing that went wrong. It's like what it was there collaborative divorce in Florida back in 2013, 2012. I don't know, but that could have been a nice option. But then another thing that went wrong was Donna. That Donna especially was overly involved in her daughter's divorce. That's always a red flag as an attorney when some grown adult comes to your office or, they're calling the office, but yet it's the mom or the dad who's like angry as heck and bugging the attorney and constantly emailing the attorney and telling you what to do or telling your client what to do. I mean, have you had that happen in your practice where somebody's parent totally interferes?
Um, no, I can't think of any situation like that.
Well, you're lucky. That's funny because I thought
So does
even
it
in
happen? Does it happen a lot in family law?
No, thank God. I mean, in my experience, but there have been a few times that I can think of off the top of my head, and those were always nightmare clients. Those are like the clients that you're like, what the hell? What did I get into? Like, can I just drop this case? This is like causing me so much stress. It's not even worth the money. So, yeah. So to me, that's a definite red flag after my own personal experience with clients like this. When you get somebody who's a grown adult and they have to have their parent butting in constantly, then it's just going to be a nightmare. So I can see why that one attorney charged Wendy $600 an hour back in 2013, because she had to also deal with Donna Adelson.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the parents-in-laws can be parents-in-law from hell sometimes, and they can be a very negative influence in a relationship between two young adults who want to form a family. And sometimes you have overbearing parents that then become nasty parents-in-law, and they're causing harm not only to the marriage and not only to the son-in-law or the daughter-in-law, the other person, right, the person who's not from their family, but also harming their own kid by this. In essence, you're not trusting your adult child to be able to handle himself or herself in a relationship, and you keep bringing up this, that somebody's using you, abusing you, or taking advantage of you, that you're always the one that are getting trampled upon. And in-laws, they see maybe 5% of what's going on in a relationship, and most of the time is a situation of the evil that comes from unsolicited advice that often turns into something that is very negative, and it is causing problems rather than bringing solutions. And there are very few times when actually that is necessary. It is a difficult time as a parent to decide when, because sometimes you have the opposite situation, right? There are horrific cases of families that end up killing a husband that kills the wife and the kids, a daughter who's going through depression after having kids and kills her own children. We hear horrible cases that happen in family law, or even of continuous abuse that eventually turns into murder. And it is hard, right? I mean, if you love your kids, if you really dearly love your kids, you want to make sure that they're happy, that they're safe, but at the same time you also have to be able to let go. And I think a lot of parents-in-law have a difficult time understanding when they should and shouldn't interfere.
Yeah,
Obviously,
well,
in the case of Donna Adelson,
like Donna. Yeah.
she had no difficulty, and she was overbearing, and so was Harvey.
Well, I'm
And
remembering, the Dan's friend, you put up her police interview just a few weeks ago. So I remember she mentioned that Dan had told her at first the in-laws seemed to like him a lot and they got along, but then after the divorce, it's like they suddenly switched. They
well, I think it
suddenly
was
turned
before
on
the
him.
divorce. I think it was maybe after Wendy decided that she wanted the divorce,
Yeah,
right? So obviously they were helping her. They helped her move. They were
yeah,
helping with the kids. So obviously, let's say that I'm assuming that Donna and Harvey maybe were on Wendy's ear about her being as important as Dan, and maybe Dan thinks he's too important and he's not helping you enough. Maybe they were bringing up some issues, but obviously the moment that the daughter took the bite and said, "Yeah, I'm out of this relationship," then they jumped in and said, "Yeah, we're with you, baby. We're gonna bring you back to South Florida. You're gonna be happy again. We're gonna all be happy. You're
yeah.
gonna be a successful
You
lawyer
can
at
get
this awesome law
remarried.
firm.
You're going
We're
to
gonna
have
get you
lots
this
of
coolest
potential
job.
suitors. Yeah.
We're gonna get you a cool job here with this other law firm," which she had a job lined up. So yeah, but time is running out. So I'm gonna say that whatever this discussion was going to be, we're gonna have to save it for another time.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
started at least. We got started to talk about it. So it is
Okay.
almost 2 p.m. and I
Yeah,
do
we
have a
always have so
conference.
much to talk about. And people were saying, please contact Court TV's lawyers to volunteer to help on that motion to
I
snip.
already did.
Oh, yay.
I know the attorney personally. I had a case against him a long time ago, and I
Oh,
sent him an email immediately after the hearing. I congratulated him on the sensational argument that he presented, and I
mhm.
said that I hope that you can appeal, and I volunteer my services pro bono if you need any assistance.
Awesome.
I'm an appellate lawyer as well, so I know
Mhm.
what I'm doing when it comes to appeals.
Okay,
So I
awesome.
volunteered that I would help him if he wanted to.
Okay, that's really nice. Thank you
Pro
so much.
bono.
Okay. Yeah, well, unfortunately, the hour is almost up. So any closing thoughts about this case, or are you going to focus more on the Murdaugh, or when's that Sarah Boone case going to happen?
I don't remember. It's going to be soon. I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but I believe it's set for April. I don't know. I can't remember
Okay.
now. It was in
Yeah,
June.
just
It was
wondering
moved
because,
recently. It was moved recently. I think it's
oh,
June.
again.
And I'm still watching Murdo. I'm gonna see if I can do the coverage. Unfortunately, not enough people are watching, but I actually like to watch and react. So I have it on my. I have several computers on my office. So I usually will do the live stream on one computer, and I can do my reactions as the things are happening. So I'm gonna try to do it today, but I do have soccer obligations today at 4:30. So maybe I'll skip today.
Yeah,
Um, and but thank you for having me.
sure.
I know that it was supposed to be on my channel today live, and I was gonna share my income with you and all this stuff.
Yeah, don't worry.
But I hope you guys will donate money to Judy.
It's
She's
okay.
an attorney. She's not here to be rich, but I think it's nice that if people show some appreciation and do the donations or watch the commercials, do all
Mhm.
the stuff because. We see a lot of bad people or bad guys on YouTube that make a ton of money and get a ton of views. And when you see somebody that you can trust and that you like, I hope that you support him on the channel and that you support him whichever way you can, and that will encourage them, like
Mhm.
Judy or I, to keep doing what we're doing. So if you like what we
Yeah,
do, be sure
thank you.
that you subscribe, that you like the video, that you comment, and if
Mhm.
you can and if you want to, you can also give a donation
Yeah,
and
okay.
support. And I
Yeah.
hope that you do that for Judy today
Oh,
for
thank
her
you. Thank
great
you,
job
Mentor Lawyer.
covering these cases and other cases, and also talking about the legal profession in general and skating too. So,
Yeah.
all right,
Okay. Have a great day then. It's nice to see you again, and have a good time playing tennis or
soccer
whatever.
today.
Oh, soccer. Yeah.
Soccer, but I do
Okay.
have first. I have a conference in a case coming up at 2:30. Otherwise, I would have stuck around because, as always, I really enjoyed talking to you, Judy. You're awesome. So,
Okay,
thanks for
cool. We'll
having me.
be in touch. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining in and caring about justice for Dan.
All right,
Have a good
thanks
day.
everybody.
Okay,
Till next time,
bye.
Mentor Lawyer. Bye bye.